rivalries, holding, and more. Here we go with Jacob Warren, the Vol Report, brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Jacob, how are you, sir? It's you guys are back and hitting in the weight room. How's life?
Yeah, life's great, man. I'm enjoying it. Just trying to get better, man. Get this team better, get us where we need to be to go compete next season. And it's crazy we're already talking about next season, but yeah, man, that's what our life is. So just excited for this next period of time.
I won't get you too far ahead. So let's talk though about something that's going to happen after you're gone, and that is the addition of Oklahoma and Texas, which is going to be in 2024. You're a big picture thinker. What do you think that means for the conference that's already considered the best in the nation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it obviously shakes it up a little bit, adds some potential rivalries. I don't know. I can foresee UT versus UT being a big deal. So I foresee that being a thing. But yeah, just adding two good teams to an already really good conference, and um, it'll obviously change up some of the ways I guess that there's divisions and stuff now. I don't really know how all that's going to work, and that's not really my concern, I guess, because I won't be here anymore. But yeah, I'm just excited to see where it goes and how it develops, and if I guess if they live up to the hype, right? If they think that they can come to our conference and what I mean, whatever, make a splash, and we'll see. We'll find out in 2024, right? You said.
Yeah, 2024 is the plan is
So
bringing them in.
we'll see what they can do.
Wait, those are big name programs, and they seem to be, well, one seems to be trending in the right direction, but traditionally they're good. At any point, can the conference get too tough?
I don't know. I think that whenever you start talking about this, you end up, going to the conversation of having just this like mega conference, right? Is what people are calling it, at least the people that I talk to, about having essentially just putting all of the best teams in one conference and just having a pretty much a good conference and then like everybody else. And that is a kind of a weird concept to think about. And I don't think it's necessarily, good for the game or whatever. But um, yeah, I mean, it would be weird if you just throw all the good teams into one conference and then just kind of just let everybody else out. Because I don't know, it'll be great for some of these teams that have kind of been right on that bubble. You know what I mean, for the past little while in these conferences, and finally, I guess if that's the way you want to get it, then these teams will be able to kind of emerge and take the spots that these teams have been occupying for the past few years. So I'm sure they're excited about that, but we'll see just kind of how it develops.
I think those schools are also excited about a big fat paycheck.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I love it.
Money will move things. If you were to tell any school coming into the conference, in this case, Oklahoma and Texas, about what it means to play in the SEC, what would you tell them?
Um, the slogan is "It just means more," right? I think that is a slogan that they use, but I think that is actually pretty true. I don't think it's corny or anything, but it's pretty true, right? I think that everything around here, especially college football, just means a lot. Not necessarily that's more important, but to some people, it's probably the most important thing. I mean, in their life, and the most important thing that they look forward to, and which is pretty crazy, but. Um, yeah, man, I think that they're going to come in and find out that our fan bases are really crazy, and the games are hard, right? We have very good competition, very high level competition, um, and that competing at the highest level in this conference is one of the harder things to do in the nation, football wise. So they'll find out, and I'm sure they'll be just fine. And we'll see how. I guess, like I said, we'll see how they fit in.
Yeah, I've told you this before. If you want to, you can be an ESPN college football analyst. So, or maybe after 10 years in the NFL, you're an NFL analyst, whatever the case may be.
Right.
But I just want to get your thoughts on what I see. So,
Mhm.
when I see the SEC as opposed to other conferences, I see an offense like yours
Yeah.
that is about tempo, throwing the ball is important, but at the end of the day, also running the football is mega important, a
Sure.
key really to, I think, your success. And you guys are still very physical, even though you run a high tempo, air quotes, throwing, passing offense.
Yeah.
To me, that's the difference between the SEC and other conferences. Your thoughts?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you look at the Pac-12, and that's like very much the air raid, right? If you want to use quotations, the air raid offense, and spread them out, throw the ball. And then you look at like, the northern conferences, whatever, Big 10, Big 12, like whatever, all these other conferences that are, you know, got a bunch of big boys up front and they like to run the ball and have, just that workhorse back there that, will rush the ball 40 times a game or something crazy. And that's also good ball too, right? But I think the SEC for sure brings this aspect of man, like there's different teams that do different things, but at the end of the day, you got to be physical and you got to be, you got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to stop the run. If you do those two things, that opens up a lot of the different things for you to have success in this conference, at least.
Jacob, let's switch gears a little bit. When I ask you about holding, if you've ever been held.
Oh no, never. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no, that's
No.
never happened. I get to that. It's brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. When it comes to industrial, commercial, or residential mowers, man alive, it's worth the ride because of their buying power. You'll save money. I don't care if you're in Knoxville, Nashville, Chattanooga, Cleveland, Tennessee is where you need to go. Vassy Lawn and Garden, man alive, it's worth the drive. Toro, count on it. What'd you think of the Super Bowl hold? I was all amped for a great ending. And then what the H? I mean, it just it suddenly is because I could do the clock as you could
Mhm.
calculations in my head. Other people I were with, they were like, "Oh, it could still be a game." I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, there's not enough time left on the clock." All of a sudden, what were your thoughts on the way it ended?
Yeah. First of all, like I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the biggest. I don't watch a lot of sports. I watch a lot of football, but obviously, like you have to watch Super Bowl, right? So I think that was one of the better Super Bowls that I've ever watched. Like personally, just the game, the physicality, and the scoring was fun. Like everything like that. So it was a good game, but man, it stinks that it comes down to that, and it stinks that it almost puts that. I don't know. You, obviously, they feel good walking away from it, but watching it, you don't feel good walking away from that game because like you just wanted more. Even if they weren't even if the Eagles weren't able to go back down and put a scoring drive together, at least that would be like it'd be exciting, right? And there'd be some anxiety and some stress or whatever watching it. But then something like that happens, and I'm not saying they bailed him out or whatever because if he held him, he held him. If he didn't, he didn't. The ref called it regardless, and um, yeah, I don't know, man. I've seen a lot worse, not get called, and so that's the only thing that I kind of looked at and was like, I don't know if that's necessarily the right call in that moment, just because Super Bowl games on the line, the guys have been playing physical all day. I'm sure that DB has held the same exact way all night. You know what I mean? And it just sucks that it happened to end up happening in the biggest moment of the game, and um, then they're able to run the clock out, kick the field goal, and then we're all sitting there like, that was lame. You know what I mean? But like, it was
Yeah,
a Super Bowl, man. Like, whatever. It was still a good game, and the halftime show was sick, and I don't know. It was just I had a good time watching it, but it's unfortunate that it ended that way. Happy for Trey Smith though. Very happy
yeah,
that he was able to, first of all, get a ring, but second of all, actually have a really big, impact on that team and that offensive line. So
yeah. They didn't give up a sack, and that to me was the story of the game more than the whole.
crazy.
I don't. Are you close to Trey? Do you guys talk?
I wouldn't say I'm like super close with him, no, but I think that we built a good relationship while he was here. He's a very um, similar to myself, I guess. It's very easy to be around. You know what I mean? And the younger guys always really gravitated toward him just because he wasn't. There was no ego with him, right? He was very much just himself, and if you wanted to talk to him, he wasn't. You know what I mean? He was going to talk to you, and he was going to enjoy just being around you, and I appreciated that about him from really the moment that I got on campus. So yeah, just always supportive of him, and obviously try to text him or something, I think he would text me back. You know what I mean? I don't think it's
Right.
quite like that, but no, we don't talk that much. But I do really appreciate him.
Coops rose with him, and he said that now he won't go by Trey anymore. He only goes by Big Bowler or Big Champ.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That sounds like him, dude.
What about what about you though? Do you have a nickname? I've never asked you this before.
Nah, not really. I mean, like my Instagram handle is J War, right? So some of the people on the team call me J War. A lot of people just call me Warren. Like hearing Jacob is almost kind of weird sometimes because like that's not what I'm called. Like no one calls me Jacob usually at football. It's either J Warren, Warren, like all these other different things other than my actual name. So hearing people actually say Jacob is kind of like, oh wow, that was weird. I know it's my name, but
Well,
interesting.
now I feel like the old fuddy duddy because I call you Jacob all the time.
Well, I mean that's okay. Like my parents don't even really call me Jacob; they call me Jake. So at the end of the day, I'll respond to pretty much whatever. Sometimes I respond to my brother's names because I'm so used to people calling me my brother's name. So, um, yeah, man, you can shout pretty much whatever. I'll probably look over at you.
So, have you ever been held in a game in which you're trying to get a release, you're trying to get downfield, and it wasn't called? Maybe even last year, was there a time where you're like, "Hey, I'm not able to get off the line"?
um, no, I think that I don't can't recall a time that it was called. Honestly, I think there might have like I'm not even trying to be like funny. I it happens so much in our game, especially like we just mentioned in the SEC, man. Like they expect you to just be able to just play, right? And they give the DBs freedom as long as they don't abuse it, obviously. And you get some games where the refs are really quick to throw the flags, but most times they're letting them play, especially they're giving them that 5 yard cushion, and it's hand to hand for that 5 yards. And obviously I'm a big guy and big body, so they just kind of expect us to be able to just work through all of it. And oh well, he's holding you, but you're 6'6" and you're 250 pounds. You should be able to just push him off. Whatever. Like, sure, I guess. So, like, it is what it is, but it's just part of the game, man. It's about winning and understanding how to win whenever even things like that are going on, and that's what we practice for every day. That's what I live for. That's what I train for. So, uh, like I said,
So,
it's part of it.
well, so would that have been a penalty in the SEC?
Mm, probably not.
Cor-
Unless unless the ref just really like unless it was just a game where they were calling it all day. And that is the biggest thing to me is that was such a physical game. That was such a like I said, like that's how the game it seemed like it was going the whole time. And for them to throw it at that time just seemed a little bit off. If they had been calling that all game and it had been consistent, that's all we really asked for is consistency from the ref. So we know what we're getting. And if the rest can be consistent, if they're consistently calling, maybe some shady calls or whatever, then at least we know, like, hey, play way cleaner because they're gonna call it. But if they're letting the guys play, then that's not a flat. Like they're not throwing that. So it is what it is, man. Just kind of depends on the situation, I guess, and the refs.
Want to encourage everybody to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed at this point, we greatly appreciate that. The like button helps us get to more Tennessee fans with Jacob Warren. So be sure and do that. Cooper May is also on the channel. I talked to Coop. He says he holds all the time. He's unabashedly a holder.
Oh yeah, for sure. Every like all the time, because people don't like they won't see in the box. If you're in the box, like it happens, and unless it's really egregious, and you're just holding the guy so he doesn't go make a sack, and that happens quite a bit too. Sometimes you kind of have to hold just to protect your guys. So, yeah, no, I think it's funny that Coop admitted he's like, yeah, I hold all the time because
Oh yeah.
it definitely happens where I'm sitting that back there behind him, supposed to be helping and protection. I'm like, wow, he is holding the crap out of him. Well, I'm not gonna say nothing. Obviously, that's great. Go Coop.
What about if you're in pass pro? Do you ever get away with a grab here and there?
It's pretty obvious usually whenever the tight end grabs because we're usually in more space than the offensive line. But if you're in the middle there, picking up like a plug, like a blitzing backer or something, then you kind of can get away with grabbing them and kind of just throwing them into the offensive lineman next to you or something like that, and just all right, you just stay there, right, and just grabbing onto them a little bit. But yeah, you got to be careful, man. You got to be careful. They're looking for it.
Absolutely. So, I'm curious. We talked about Texas and Oklahoma coming in.
Mhm.
You've got ties to Tennessee. Your dad and uncle played. You're a local guy. What do you think? Tennessee is a weird school in that they have, I think, about the last I counted, 28 rivals of people that look at people that look at Tennessee and say that's our rival.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm talking about Kentucky,
Yeah.
but
Right.
um, what do you think is the chief rival with you in your age group? Because I found over time that it depends how old you are.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I probably have to say Florida, man. I think Florida, as of right now, is the biggest like we don't like those guys rival. I think that's the biggest like I don't know if it's just because of how things have gone in the past few years with other schools that we won't necessarily talk about. I mean, obviously we got to win last year, but Florida is the game that we go in and like these dudes aren't good. Like we're going like like we got to go beat them, whatever. Like, and it just means so much to win that game. And um, no, at the end of the day, I think it's just about in my head, a rivalry is which team do you not like the most? And to me, that's Florida. So I'm going to say Florida. Yeah, obviously you got all types of South Carolina's a rivalry now. Like Kentucky's a rivalry, Alabama's a rivalry, Vanderbilt's a rivalry. Like all these, it pretty seems like every single game we play is a rivalry game. So it's cool though. I guess it builds up some, some juice about the game or whatever, and it kind of puts a little bit more pressure on it. But at the end of the day, we're just out there playing, and doesn't really matter, I guess, who's lined up against us. So
With Florida, is it just growing up as Florida was a rival, watching them before you got to Tennessee, or is it just the way things have played out on the field that makes them your most bitter rival, so to speak?
a little bit of both. I think that when I was younger, I remember my oldest brother always used to wear like Florida gear to school and stuff, just because he wanted to like start stuff. You know, what I mean, he just wanted to be that kid that was different. And so naturally, I was like, oh, I kind of want to be a Florida fan. Like my brother's a Florida. I just did everything he wanted to do. So, we grew up and we're trying to just be whatever, little bad kids, and so we wear Florida jerseys to school and stuff like that. And so I guess like that it may have stemmed from that, but yeah, just even from me being here and just you know, I'm not saying that they're all bad people on their team because they're not. I'm sure they're all just like us and they got a good group of guys, but it just seems like every time we play them, man, it's just something that really gets under my skin. So
What give me one thing that's gotten under your skin.
everybody always wants to act like we're not all the same. Like everybody, it seems like college football is one thing I realized once I really started playing a lot of minutes in college football is like, guys, I'm not here to like talk crap to you. I'm not here to like try to make you feel bad about yourself. Like I'm literally just out here because like you're like we play you this week, right? Like I don't care who you are. I don't care if it's crazy because usually the people that are actually really, really good don't say anything. They like Will Anderson. I don't know if I've ever actually heard the man talk, and I've played against him twice. Like, and that's just because he just shows up and he works. But at the same time, it's like I got people freaking in my ear all the time after every single play, and a lot of them are generally from Florida, and I hate hearing it because it's just so annoying. Because finally we beat them, and I'm getting on a tangent, but finally we beat them, and it's like okay, finally now I can actually like feel like I can talk back to them. But yeah, man, you run into a lot of just trash talkers, and I'm not that I'm not a fan. I can get right back, but um, man, just play the game, dude. That's what we're here to do is play the game.
Well, my generation came through the 90s when it's Spurrier versus Fulmer.
Yeah,
So my generation feels the exact same way as you do.
yeah.
You get a little bit older and it's Alabama, you get really old. And actually, you may not even know this. General Neyland was hired to beat Vanderbilt.
Mm.
That was the chief rival back in the day. So I'm not sure how many of those people are still with us,
Yeah,
but
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
that's a long time ago. So we're on the same page there, despite a few years in between us. He's Jacob Warren. Love visiting with him. Brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. The Vol Report. Vassy Lawn and Garden, man alive. It's worth the drive to Cleveland, whether it's you're in Knoxville, Nashville, or Chattanooga. They've got your industrial mowers and they've got the commercial mowers. You'll be very glad you checked out Vassy.com. Vassy Lawn and Garden. For Jacob, I'm Dave. Wait, for Jake, I'm Dave.
Jay War and
Jay War.
in '87. Yeah.
Feel so hip now. For Jay War, I'm Dave Hooker. Have a fantastic day, everyone. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.